This conference will now be recorded.
Chuck will be sharing in just a few minutes. I'll turn the program over to him shortly, but we want to be considerate and courtesy and have respect everyone in this room. At the end, we'll have questions. If we can answer those questions, we will. If not, we will get back with you. So at this time, I ask Mr. Cameron McGill to come lead us in prayer, please. Father and Chairman, Mr. Tom Martin will lead us in pledge allegiance. Thank you, Chair.
Let's pray together. Father, how thankful we are for our community. God, thank you for the privilege you allow us to have to call this place home. Thank you for Bladen County. Thank you for its significant place in history. Father, for what you are doing in the present, and Father, for what you will do in the future. We acknowledge that we are here tonight because we are part, Lord, of the stewardship, Lord, to care for in our generation the gifts of our community, of our hometown. Lord, we thank you for, Lord, the leaders of Bladen County. We thank you for the leaders of Elizabethtown, each town that make up this county. But most importantly, Lord, we thank you for the citizens that fought enough of many of us to elect us to an office that gives us not a position of authority, but a position of responsibility. And Lord, I believe that every elected official in this room and around this county truly seeks to do what is right and what is best and what is in accordance to your will. And Lord, what those who have elected us have called us to do. And I pray tonight for discernment, for direction, for a clear sense of understanding for every person here. And God, that the best days of Bladen County would be ahead. We love you and we thank you for your amazing love for us. And Lord, especially this week, we thank you for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we might have freedom to govern ourselves in this great nation. Thank you for the one that will come and lead us in the pledge in a moment, and for those like him who put their lives on the line so that we could be here tonight. In Jesus' sweet name, amen. Amen.
Thank you, Cameron. Great job. I've always been Cameron's favorite World War II helicopter.
Amen.
Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So this time, I'm turning it over to Chuck Hughes, our economic developer. But please, if you have questions, hold them to the end, and give Chuck the opportunity to make this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so tonight's presentation is divided up into four categories. One, I think, has had the most discussion about it, and that's the residential component of the new live, work, play out at the Ben Green Industrial Park. The second one is another component of the live, work, play, which I think there's less known about, but is equally exciting. And I think over the next few weeks, you're going to hear about some great stuff going on out there. And that's the commercial component of live, work, play. Then we got a lens focus. Then a third section is going to talk about an incubator project. It was a Golden Leaf project. And then the fourth part is going to be about the Vulcan Air project. So that's the airplane manufacturing project that we recruited here a couple of years ago, and we're still working toward having here. Okay, first of all, a lot of people don't know what Bladen Bloom Agro-Industrial is. Most people know what a county is, most people know what a town is, but Bladen Bloom Agro-Industrial is something that we have here in the county that's kind of unique. It's a nonprofit board that works to create jobs, tax base, help new businesses start up and grow in Bladen County. So our mission is to create jobs, tax-based, value-added agriculture opportunities, small business startups, and growth assistance. Very important here, because I know in the past there's been some confusion about this. Sometimes people think that Bladen Blooming is a company. I assure you that all of our board members are just as broke as they were when they went on the board. Nobody makes any money from it. Every bit of revenue that is generated is reinvested here in Bladen County to create more jobs, tax base, grow more business. These are just some examples of some high-impact projects we've done. We've done probably well over 100 projects now, if you're talking about revolving loans and real estate projects. And in fact, we've done 32 real estate projects in 24 years. But some examples that you are probably aware of that they're in the community, but you didn't know that Bladen Blooming played a role. We own the DMV call center. We work with the town of Elizabethtown and Bladen County to bring that here. We initially built the winery that Alex Monroe bought and went nuts with, that we're very proud of. Save that one. The Cape Fear Valley, that's a project out of the industrial park that hasn't opened yet, but we're very excited about, as the development moves on, getting that new urgent care, primary care medical specialist facility going. An incredible project. I can tell you one that we worked on for about 4 years, and when we had our wildest dreams of success, our dreams were never as big as the reality sitting there now, and that's Bladen revitalization. I think the group of us that worked on that never imagined getting to the end of it, and we certainly never imagined the kind of traffic that that's created. So that's one that we're very proud of. Also, keeping healthcare in Clarkton. A lot of folks don't know that we own the healthcare facility in Clarkton as well. We own the one in Bladenboro. After the hurricane, when we were at risk of losing healthcare in Bladenboro, we renovated that facility. So we work with Cape Fear Valley a lot. We will do everything we can to help them grow and prosper in our community. And then one of the things we're going to look back, and it's going to be about as exciting as the Bladenboro revitalization and the daycare. And the call center is the daycare. We had our strategic plan about 3 years ago. One of the top concerns, along with housing, which we're talking about tonight, is the lack of daycare. So this is going to be a new daycare that's going to open Monday, June the 2nd, 120 daycare slots, and we're excited to see families get high-quality daycare here in the county. And if it goes like we hope, then in future years, we hope maybe we'll be doing another one. So that finding quality daycare is not a inhibiting factor toward going back to work. Okay, starting the residential part. This is kind of where it all started. Initially, Charles Ray, and I met with the town administration. And the town manager, Dane Rideout, the planner, Rusty Worley. These were not meetings with the town elected officials. Also keep in mind, although the mayor signed this document, we realize that the mayor doesn't write every document that comes from the town. Somebody in the administration writes the document, and then elected officials trust administrative officials what they're doing to sign these things. I write letters all the time that I know elected officials are depending on me to have accurate and the right information when they go to sign. But the reason we're here today is to explain how the county and Bladen Blooming got to where we are. The first thing I want everybody to understand, that we want everybody to understand, is we never wanted to harm the town of Elizabethtown or the citizens of Elizabethtown. Every citizen of Elizabethtown is a citizen of Bladen County. Unfortunately, as we were going through a lot of the projects we have for the last couple of years, we began to see things happening in trends that we knew were going to cause irreparable repair for our community for decades and decades to come. as we tried to work with the town administration on some of these things, we just were not getting anywhere. In fact, we were more likely to come under attack than to get cooperation. So what we really want everybody to understand during this is the legal stuff was really a last resort because we were trying to open lines of communication and to share the information that we were compiling over the weeks, months, and the last 2 years. So as an example here, this is the letter that the town wrote the county when they were asking for the $100,000 to do the planning for the live, work, play. I think everybody agreed and they were excited about the live, work, play. That's the whole reason the county put up the $100,000 to plan for it. As you'll see here, it was a 33-acre project. It included commercial stuff like the distillery, healthcare, the daycare, business flex space. And we were conveyed in this letter, if you see the last area down here, that 5 acres, 2 lots, 5 acres, had already been conveyed to Bladen for the project. So as of the time this letter was given to us, we were under the impression, number one, Bladen had already been given 5 acres. Number two, the development was going to be a 33-acre development. And number three, that there would be about a third of this 33 acres that would be commercial. This is just more supporting stuff. This is where the town put out their public notice about the project. So again, highlighted, you'll see it was supposed to be 33 acres. When we were first master planning this whole thing, this is a snapshot of a picture. No, this is a picture of a whiteboard where we were strategizing how it would be set up. What I'd like for you to notice here is it clearly shows that there would be some rental housing. There would be houses for sale by private funding. And over here, there would be commercial components that Bladen did. Also, the commercial development was dependent on EDA funding. So if you see the orange circle up there, that's where it shows that the commercial development was dependent on the EDA grant funding. Okay, the RFQ that the town put out, these buildings are obviously already there. This is the Loop Road, that's Executive Drive, this is aviation. The hypothetical buildings, because none of these buildings are there. The hypothetical buildings are all within the 33 acres. I'm a Terrible County stuff, thanks. So you can see all the buildings were within the 33 acres. So still, it's more and more evidence that what was intended for this development the whole time was inside the loop of 33-acre development. Okay, this is the master development agreement that was signed between the town and the developer. We get a ton of questions about this, so we just put it up here. So if you heard a rumor about this, that, or the other, well, you haven't heard a rumor now. You've seen the master development agreement. The developer was supposed to get a 4% project management fee and a 5% project development fee. So for every dollar spent in the live, work, play, the developer, and the developer chosen was second floor Robbie Fair, side of Raleigh, he would get 9% of every dollar spent. Look, that is not highly unusual. Now, 9 may be a little bit high, but it's not unusual for developers to get these kind of fees. But if it grows from a 33-acre project to an 80 or a 90 or 150-acre project, if it grows from a $20 million project to a $50, $70, $90 million project, you can see where there might be an incentive to grow the project past the original scope. This is the land lease. It's our understanding, we've talked to board members, and also, y'all, I can tell you, I personally talked to several board members that did not support the structure of this as it moved to rental facilities and got much bigger. But, we've also talked to them, and to some of them, the lease that they got the night that they approved it does not look like the lease that they saw previously. So it appears that there could have been some changes in the lease from the time that they first looked at it till it was dropped in front of them to vote. But anyway, it was between them and a nonprofit, NC Sustainable. Some of the problems that the county and Bladen had with the ground lease. And I know there have been rumors out there about this as well, but our problem was they had 10 years to start anything. And there was no requirement to build even one house during the 10 years. There was no requirement to put in one bit of infrastructure. So if the developer couldn't do anything, our industrial park could sit there for at least 10 years with no development at all. The cost of this to the developer was $1 a year. The lease was for a 90-year period, again, for $1 a year. So there is a schedule in here that he was supposed to meet, putting together financing, doing certain things. Well, let's get to that in just a minute. So it was a 90-year lease with a 90-year option. So this allowed the developer out of Raleigh for $1 a year, so for $180, to have complete control of our industrial park for 180 years. The county and Bladen were against that. That's just the second thing. Oh, yeah. Another thing there, the developer was trying really hard to make the development not property taxable. We never felt that there was a method for this. We did a lot of research. We couldn't find a way that you can make the development non-taxable. Bladen is a private nonprofit. We're also one of the larger taxpayers in the county. Churches don't pay taxes, not nonprofits. So, and I know for a fact, because I was in the meetings, because I know Ms. Green suggested that she didn't like the idea of it being tax exempt because that would be unfair to other developers. A number of the commissioners that I personally was in meetings with the town expressed that they didn't believe in it not being taxable because it would be unfair. When this lease passed, it had a payment in lieu of taxes for the town, but not one for the county. So in other words, if the developer found a way to make the project tax exempt, the town would get a payment in lieu of those taxes. The county would not. So the county also felt that it was unfair that if by some method over that 180 years, they found a way to make it tax exempt, that the town would get revenue and the county would not. Especially when we started into it as partners and we put up the $100,000 to do the planning initially. Also, the project schedule, this is what I was talking about a while ago, that there is a very small project schedule, but it also clearly says that the leasee's failure shall not be deemed default. So even though there's an attached schedule, the contract clearly says even if they miss the schedule, it shall not. And in legal terms, that means it's a done deal. You cannot void the contract because of not meeting the schedule. Another problem that we had with this was the developer at his sole discretion. So in other words, the town has no say-so at all. So for 90 years or during the 90-year option, the developer at his sole discretion could bring in and sell the project to a third party. The county and Bladen were very opposed to that as well. Also here, and this is kind of a running thing, there was a lot of authority being given to the town manager, and we disagreed with that. The way we prefer to do things with the county and Bladen's blooming, we want a lot of our ultimate authority and decision-making to be with the boards, not the administration. And personally, as an administrator, I'd rather have that because it protects my butt. Nobody can come back and say, oh, you screwed that up. You know, we screwed that up because you have as much authority as we do. And this was the project schedule, but again, that shall be deemed to not be a reason for default. This is another part that we didn't quite understand. As of the night, the meeting was on July the 1st when they adopted the land lease. Now that land lease that we showed you, it is not in place. MC Sustainables never signed it, so that land lease is not in place. This, though, was a component to it called the Infrastructure Reimbursement Agreement. According to the town board members that we talked to, and the communications that we have with the town right after the meeting, this document did not exist. It was not a part of the agreement. It was not there when it was voted on. What we don't understand is, according to this, it was signed on July the 1st, which is also the date of the meeting. So we don't understand whether it did exist, it was signed, and we just couldn't get it through request and board members didn't know it, or is this something that didn't exist that night, but was dated that night? So we do not know that. We have no idea. Part of the complaint of the town manager was, and things that I've also heard from people, was that the county wouldn't give the town the money. The county wouldn't give the town the money. I had these discussions with them. The problem is, the money given to us by the legislature, you can't just get the money. It is a reimbursement. The town would in fact have to do the project, spend the money, and then ask for a reimbursement. The very beginning of that process is knowing that the town has the financing in place. So the question that Lisa was simply asking Dane was, okay, I need you and the developer to show us where the financing is. Now, I can tell you, at the point that all this was happening, Hal Clark was a town board member that was on the Bladen Blooming board. Hal had the exact same questions. How is the project being financed? Every indication that we got was that the town board members could not get that answer from the town manager or the developer. So as a result, Lisa said, if you can't show me that you have the rest of the financing, like if you're going to do a $90 million project and you want $15 million from me, you need to show me that you have $75 million in financing. Because me and Lisa have some of the same rules. We ain't doing anything that sends Lisa or Chuck to jail. We don't make another of that. After months of questioning, we wanted to know what the homes were going to look like. What were homes going to look like? The questions we were getting from all over the community were, what were homes going to look like? This email finally came to us from Dane to Maria Edwards on July the 12th, that these were the Paris plans for the homes in the Whitworth flood. Unfortunately, these were also the plans that Devon had already done for us when we were looking to privately develop the development. He did not give Dane permission to use his plans. When confronted by Robbie Ferris, said that he did not know it. He said that he asked Dane about it, and Dane said that he accidentally sent the wrong plans. Go back one page. You can see the nameplate has been perfectly cut off, and they were cut off for 6 plans. So Dane would have us believe that he was walking through the office with 6 of the wrong plans, accidentally cut the nameplate off all 6, accidentally scanned them to his computer, accidentally sent them in an email to Maria Edwards, and then said in the email that they were the ones that Ferris was building. Could have happened, but that's a big accident. These were the real plans. So this is why the county and Bladen's Blooming were concerned about the development. We had no idea what the houses were going to be. I heard people saying Section 8. I never personally heard Section 8. In every meeting that I was in with the town, I never heard Section 8 housing, and I don't believe it was the intent. I do know that they were trying to get the cost to build down to $125 a foot, and most developers that we talked to said that was impossible. Also, when the town and Robbie were looking to do a study on what kind of housing was needed, they hired, what is that, Bowen something? Bowen National Research. We never heard from Bowen National Research. Months after the plan was made to put 500 rental homes in the Elizabethtown Park, through FOIA request, we finally got a copy of the study. If you'll notice there in the highlighted area, it just says, despite multiple attempts, we were unable to receive a response from Area Economic Development. They have our office phone number, they have our cell numbers, they have our email addresses, they know where we are, but we couldn't be reached. Also, if you'll notice, and this is what, just about 2-3 years ago, the biggest industries in the county were Accent Dye, Elizabethtown Power, Harriet and Henderson, Squires Timber. Those are businesses that have been closed for 15 to 20 years. So as a result of the information that we were discovering, and because we're not able to convey the information, the county wrote this letter asking for the $100,000 back because the scope of the project had dramatically changed. We did not feel that the scope of the project accurately reflected at all what we intentionally invested in. So again, from our standpoint, it started as a 33-acre development with about 60 to 80 homes, predominantly for sale, a few townhomes for rent, and 7 to 9 commercial projects. Where it ended up was an 80+ acre development with 300 to 500 rental homes, none of the homes for sale, and little to no commercial development. So y'all, that's why the county never, Bladen's Blooming never intended in any way to hurt the community, the town citizens. We were doing what we felt like we needed to protect the town. And even in discussions with some of the elected officials, it was obvious they did not know what was going on. So in a lot of ways, we were even trying to protect the elected officials. So this area is the commercial and workplace. The commercial network play, if you remember from earlier, was dependent on EDA funding for water, sewer, and stormwater. When you write grants, which some of you in here may have written grants before, hopefully most of you haven't, because it's very painful, and it's even worse when you get them, because then you have to, all the years follow up. But you have to certify that if they're matching funds, that you have them. So this is the letter from Dane saying that the town has the local funds, and they're set aside, they're unencumbered. This is also the application that the town put together, where they said that they have a robust administration and they will administer the grant. We have the capacity to administer the grant. These are the specialties of our people that show that we have the capacity to administer the grant. Again, 33-acre development. So as this goes in grants, in media, in public notices, it was always a 33-acre project. Also, as you see, it includes a distillery, commercial lodging, event space, health clinic, daycare, and others. Okay, go back page. So, well, one more. Okay, this is in basically the March to June, July time frame. So you go ahead and move forward. In November, Dane is then emailing them and saying, look, we need money, EDA, saying we need money for engineering and to administer the grant. Well, in their commitment letters for the grant, they said they were going to administer the grant. Then a few months later, if we don't get $30,000, then we have to give $1.1 million back. So the town was awarded $1.1 million in grant money through Golden Leaf and EPA. The two grants matched each other. But because of not having $30,000 worth of administration, they were going to have to give it back. Also, engineering. In the meetings that we had, and it's documented, they wanted to take the engineering, the town administration, wanted to take the engineering out. If you put the engineering in the grant, then you have to bid the engineering because it's federal money. If you just want to pick the engineer you want and hand them the work, then you have to use your own money. So what they said was they would use their own money so that they could pick their own engineer. Once we get here now, then they don't have the money for the grant administration or for the engineering. So because they don't have $300,000, they're going to have to give $1.1 million back. This letter is where, as we are finishing the first healthcare facility and getting ready to start the daycare facility, for months between me and the Devines, we have been communicating with Rusty about the roads. We were told over and over that the roads are being engineered, go ahead and do your construction. The roads are being engineered, you're safe, go ahead and do your construction. As we're almost finishing the healthcare facility, we question again. We're told not only are they doing the engineering, McGill is doing the engineering. About a month later, we found out that was not true. No engineering had ever started. So Bladen Fluman had entered $4 million worth of construction contracts, counting on the town was going to have the roads, water, sewer, and stormwater in. And then we found out that they had never started their part and were giving the $1.1 million they got from the federal government back. This is a letter that came from Dane Rideout to the town attorney. He also sent it to our attorney. If you'll notice in this letter, he says it's Pam Bostic that took the engineering and the grant administration out of the document. That was not true. Pam never took it out. Pam had everything documented. Dane, by his own decision, took that stuff out. But then when he was gonna lose the $1.1 million, he blamed it on Pam. Also, here in number 4, it clearly says again that the town transferred, past tense, 2 parcels of property that are the urgent care and the daycare. So we've already been told in the letter from the town, now we've been told in an email from the town, that we have been given the daycare lot. This is the letter where Dane apologized to Pam for saying that she was the reason we lost the $1.1 million. The disappointing thing in this is that his reason he gives for apologizing is that he thought it was a confidential conversation. It wasn't that he did the wrong thing, it's that he thought it wasn't going to get out. This is the very first map of the commercial development when we were going to lobby for the money to the water, sewer, stormwater money to do the project. Now, when we first saw this, was the first time we ever saw the project coming outside of the 33 acres. However, this time we were all the way ready on the way to Raleigh, and it was too late. But what I do want you to notice, blue is healthcare, yellow is commercial, purple is commercial, orange is commercial. Commercial, 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 commercial. At least a third of this development was intended to be commercial, and that's the way we promoted it to the legislature and to the granting agencies. This is the second map we got from the developer. Notice all the commercial over here is gone. This is the third map we got. Notice all the commercial is gone, and the commercial is all the way back to only one strip right here. But you can see there's room for 2 buildings on each of those. By the time we were actually conveyed the land, the town manager told us there was only room for the 2 facilities that were already there. So our problem with this, Bladen, the county, is that the $100,000 was given under the ideal that the live work lane was going to be heavily worked. That it was going to open up daycare, it was going to open up tourism, it was going to open up healthcare, it was going to open up lodging. And then, even when we talked to town board members and they said they were for things, anytime we tried to pursue getting land from the town administration, we were told no. Again, what this is just about is there's a disagreement over lot size, and if you could see this, you would see that we were certainly led to believe that the lot size that we originally thought we were going to get, we still feel like there's a lot that we should have gotten, but that's a small thing, too complicated. What we do want to do, show you though, is this is in the grant application. This is the roadmap that the town planner, Rusty, put in the grant application, showing that there was room for 2 commercial projects in every block. However, by the time they conveyed us the land, these have been cut all the way back to here. Okay, this is a letter that was conveyed to us from the town attorney, basically saying that the reason they were going to have to give back the money was because they didn't have the money for engineering. Now, we already understand from the previous discussion tonight how that happened. What we checked with EDA and let them know was that in reality, EDA was never trying to take the money away like the town manager was saying. He actually just had 3 reports that he had to print and sign to keep the money active. Now, thankfully, Howard Clark at that time was a Bladen board member and a town board member, And when he found out that Dan was trying to get the money back, he let us know. So that's how we were able to call EDA and find out if they were really trying to take the money back. When in reality, what we found out is there were really only 3 reports that needed to be printed and signed. And of course, you can see, of course, you may not be able to see, but I can barely see it. EDA is not terminating the project, is not pressuring the town to terminate the project. EDA desperately wanted to do the project because EDA is created the same way that everybody else is. How many jobs do you get created? So if it was daycare, healthcare, everything else, they were going to look good. Now, something else that we only found out recently, this is a letter from the county where they offered to give $1 million for infrastructure in the commercial live work play. It is our understanding now from county elected officials that they were never presented this letter. So they would have had the $1.1 million in grant money, and they would have had the $1 million from the county. But again, they just know that the county had made the offer. Also, this is language in the grant applications that talk about stormwater systems, curb and gutter. But these are the buildings that we have out there right now. When Bladen conveyed to the town that if the roads didn't go in, we might have to sue, the town administration went out and just put in a road, put in ditches, but never finished the ditches. Didn't do curb and gutter. So now what we have are damages where all the ditches are eroding. Also, not real sure how well this road's gonna hold up, but for those of us that saw the renderings of the live work play, this is certainly not what the developer sold us. This is a letter that we got from Goldston, which was about something else, but in here is the first time we ever found out that the daycare land was never conveyed. And legitimately, when we went back and we looked for a deed that had never been conveyed, look, I believe when you screw up, you have to own your own screw-ups. Bladen's Blooming, we screwed up. We should have known we didn't have a deed to the property. But we got a letter saying that it had been conveyed. We got an email saying it had been conveyed. Think the next slide, Casey. This is the zoning permit signed by Rusty, who's the zoning person for the town. You can't get a zoning permit to get a building permit on somebody's land that you don't own. So Bladen, Allen shouldn't be able to go in and get a zoning permit to build on Dr. Ophelia's land. So from us getting the zoning permit, we also thought that we owned the land. The reason we never find out, Bladen Blooming saved up enough money to pay cash for the daycare. As a result, we never had to do a title search. Because we never did a title search, we never found out that we didn't own the land. Now, we believe that the town did exactly what they told us they were going to do. And I sincerely believe they did it in good faith. We all believe it. This is the public hearing where the town put out a public hearing conveying the 2 lots. This is the public notice. This is the description of both lots. So both descriptions in the contract, both lots are described. Here is where Rusty presents it, the 2 of them. This is where they go to say that it's going to be approved at the evening meeting. Again, Worley noted 2 parcels to Bladen Blooming for the urgent care and economic development. And here is where Hal Clark makes the motion, seconded by Paula Green, to approve the transfer of the land. personally, I'm 99% believe that they thought they gave us the land. I don't know where it fell apart. I don't know where the deed didn't get done. Rusty told me he reported it himself. Obviously, he didn't. But I really don't think there was anything nefarious about it. I think they really gave us the land and it didn't get finished. However, we ended up taking about 4 months to go back and repay legal fees and do it all so that they could give us the land that they had already given us before. The third one, Aviation Incubator 2. Again, letter from Dane, and you'll notice, most of this stuff, y'all, it didn't come from the town or the mayor. The letter from Dane, but, I mean, where we're getting at, we have to believe it, is that they're gonna provide the water and sewer for this project. Now, this was a $10 million grant that was given to 7 counties by Golden Leaf. The whole idea of the grant was to prove that building rural spec buildings like Bladen does in Bladen County could work in other counties. So Columbus County was getting this offer, Scotland was getting this, Robinson was getting it. We were one of the counties. But the whole thing was you had to choose your site, you had to choose your project at the very beginning. And then after you did that, you couldn't change. So we could have built any spec building anywhere in the county, but the town was really hot, and I understand why, because we had some good aviation projects coming through at the time. They really wanted us to build an aviation incubator. Over here, another letter, and this one says they'll financially support it above and beyond any grant assistance needed. They'll cover any unforeseen expenses that may arise. So it's pretty unquestionable that the town is going to provide road, water, sewer aprons, anything they need to get this aviation incubator done. This is where the town showed us where it was going to go. We didn't choose the site. The town planner, town manager told us where the building was going to be located. Now, we come to notice the date, July the 11th. All of a sudden, they're $1 million short on the project. Well, Bladen offers to put up $500,000 because we were getting ready to lose a $1.4 million grant. So, take the $500,000 to save $1.4 million is just good business. Oh, yeah, and we had asked them to give us what the cost misses were. Okay, this is where, it's a letter that you're going to see several times, or you've already seen it one time, but it's saying that DOT is going to put in the road. We're telling them that the hangar design will be funded once the Golden Leaf funds are received, and that's true. The Golden Leaf funds could be used to pay for the plant. Okay, here, so we were going to be $1 million short initially, and that was July the 11th. We're now July the 29th, and the word we were getting from the town administration was that we were now $3 million short, maybe $3.5 million short. So the town of Bladen, not the town of Bladen, the county of Bladen offers $3 million to help to pay for infrastructure into the aviation park. We also had town commissioners tell us that they never saw this offer. Bladen offered $500,000 for the aprons. So where I said that the county offered $3 and Bladen offered $5, that was $3.5 million to help cover the shortfall. Okay, so Bladen did get the Golden Leaf grant. we were awarded the $1.4 million. We paid for the engineering for the site that the town picked. We had to make sure there were no red-headed woodpeckers out there in that flat place with nothing. We had to make sure it wasn't a flood zone, all these kind of things. So we paid $47,000 for that. Now, by November the 4th, they're $7 million short. So they were $1 million short, $3 million short, now $7 million short. But I can tell you, our previous meeting in mid-July, with a bunch of Bladen, Bloom, the county and the town, all at a meeting asking when the Vulcan Air project was gonna start, we were told that all the engineering was complete and the work would start in 2 weeks. So we never understood how the price could keep going up if the engineering had been done in July. And here, by the time this is done, is now $8.7 million. So over the course of just a few months, the town administration missed their estimated cost of the project from $1 million to $8.7 million. Yeah, and we were told by the town administration, or other folks were told by the town administration, that they were talking to Golden Leaf and they were gonna let us change the site. We knew that wasn't true, but we did get documented from Golden Leaf that no, you could not change the site. So, as a result, Bladen Fleming had to give up the $1.4 million building and went back to the pool to be divided between the other 6 counties. The Vulcan Air plant. So this is the airplane manufacturing plant. We kept getting hit with rumors, I say Bladen, Blooming in the county, that we were trying to hurt the town in putting together the project. The date is wrong on here. It should have been March 29th, 24. But after we decided with the town that we were not going to build the aircraft facility, we wrote a letter of support in support of the town to get grant money to build the facility. The truth is, and I have a bunch of Bladen Fleming board members in here, we knew that this was going to be the riskiest project we ever took. We had $4 million to build a $7+ million project. We were going to have to go out and borrow $3 million or more to build this facility. So the town administration said they were going to take over construction of the facility. We weren't mad, we were actually happy, because it allowed to take us our money and go put it into other projects. For some reason, the town administration started saying that me or Bladen Fleming took $4 million that was intended for the town. However, this is their own press release from the Vulcan Air announcement that says that Bladen Fleming got $4 million and would invest another $3 million. So we really didn't understand why the story was going around that we took the money when the own press release said that we got the $4 million. These were the cheat sheet notes the day of the press conference of the announcement. So if you were asked a question, you knew exactly how to answer it. Again, $4 million to Bladen Fleming. This is a letter from Dane to the Division of Aviation. Again, it says Bladen Fleming got the $4 million. This is the email from the state where they tell us that we got the $4 million. Okay, we were in a meeting at the airport. Town officials, county officials, Bladen Fleming officials, and we were told by the town manager that the Division of Aviation would not let Bladen Fleming build the building because the funds were ARPA funds and inside the fence line. He said they would not allow some nonprofit to administer ARPA funds. Now, right then, we had a discussion about, well, we're already using some ARPA funds in the county. So we know that we can administer them, but if you say so, if you say we can't because they're ARPA funds, then yeah, take the money, y'all gotta do it. Well, when we're sent the money, they were never ARPA funds to begin with. What the town manager told us about the funds were not true. We don't know why he would have told us something that wasn't true, except to run us off the project. Also, there was stories that came from the administration that I worked with elected officials and state officials to have the money not go to the town. These emails explain that after we were told not to do the project, that I actually did go to the state Office of State Budget Management and asked them to do the technical corrections that would allow the county to give the money to the town. So fortunately, we have everything documented. Okay. We were no longer going to build the oil care facility. The town was going to build it. But what we were being told was that the North American and the chief finance officer came to the Bladen meeting, stood in front of us all, a room full of 12, 13, 14 members, and said if 4 airplanes are not bought, so this came straight from the company. If 4 airplanes were not bought in about 4 days, then the plant couldn't come here because Italy was going to shut down the North American line. In 3 days, Bladen spent $2.5 million to buy 4 airplanes to keep the project alive here. Now, during this time, we were being told by the town administration that they had the project fully funded, that they had every bit of the money they needed to build the plant. In fact, look, July 23rd, because we kept saying, okay, it's nice that you say you have it, but can you show us what the money is? Please show us what the money is. So finally, we sent an email and said, look, we've got to know. So on July 23rd, the town has successfully secured all the necessary funding through CDBG and Division of Aviation. The project remains on track, and at that time, it was to be open by November of 2024. No construction has started yet. But not only do they have the money, they list the sources of the money. Well, obviously, we were relieved because we had just spent $2.5 million on airplanes. That's great news. But when you get a grant, you get an award letter or an award email. They don't just verbally tell you, hey, you got a grant. You get something to document it. So what we asked for was a copy of the award letters that we could share with our boards. But then they just spent a lot of money buying airplanes. This is the answer we got back. The town will share the funding letters when we complete the applications. Not only did they not have the money, they hadn't even applied for the money yet. But we had bought $2.5 million worth of airplanes on promises that they did. Yeah, those are some of the things that are documented contractual type things, and there's a lot more. But we were also having trouble with the administration, both the manager and the planner, spreading information that we feel like was probably meant to be divisive and create conflict between a town board and a county board that had known each other their whole lives. People that have worked together and trusted each other for decades. And then just at one point, the town planner said that there was $6 million that was going to be given at zero interest to live, work, play. When we checked on it, it was never true. There was no such thing ever promised by Ford County. The town manager accusing ex-county manager Greg Martin and Chairman then Charles Ray Peterson, working to get the money that was intended to get to the town shifted to the county instead. Everybody that went up there lobbying knows that the entire time the money was allocated to the county. I was accused of running around trying to take the $4 million. They claimed in a meeting in front of town officials, county officials, and Bladen's Blooming officials that I tried to run money through Bladen's Blooming because my contract gave me a percentage of all the money that went through it. I asked them how in the world they could get my contract because we're a private entity. They said, absolutely, they had seen my contract. So then Hal Clark, that's on the town board, we allowed them to tell them that I've never had a contract. So they were claiming to see something that didn't even exist. And also, a lot of accusations about Bladen Blooming not following bid procedures. Y'all, I promise you, these folks don't make a penny. I don't make enough to go to jail for, not following bid procedures. Bladen Blooming, because we're a private, not-for-profit, has advantages over government entities over how we can handle projects and how fast we can do things. It seemed that the town manager was upset that we had more latitude to do projects faster than he could. And for some reason thought that we were not following bid procedures. I assure you, we may mess up one day and do something wrong, but I guarantee you it won't be on purpose. Also accusing us of funneling work to the departments. We were going to use Metcon to build a building, and then when it was decided that the town was going to build that building, the town manager asked us not to tell Metcon. Here they are spending thousands of dollars a day on engineering, but he didn't want them to know that they weren't going to get the contract. So he asked us not to let them know while they switched and found another contractor. I told him absolutely not, we would not do that. And Matt Campbell and Hal Clark backed me up on him and told him that no, that was just absolutely unethical and we would not do it. I also got the idea that we were on a $50 million project here in Metcon. It just wasn't true, there was no such thing. Saying that we were recruiting healthcare workers away from Elizabethtown to facilities in Bladenboro. That was the thing I talked about, the work would start in 2 weeks. And this is just an example, when you talk about sowing seeds of discontent, at one point they went to the town commissioners and said that Bladen County Building Inspections was going to charge them $10,000 for the permits for the community center. They had never even asked what the cost of the permits were going to be. They had never gotten a quote for what the cost it was going to be, and they were never going to be near $10,000. So why would you go and misinform your town board and make them think that the county was doing harmful things to them when in fact it just was not true? And this was verified by Rich Lynn. Rich said it's absolutely what we were told. He called Chad Devine. Chad's the one that had the project on the building, and Chad told him absolutely not. We haven't even tried to get permits yet, and they won't be anywhere near 10,000. Why do you stand there and mislead your commissioners and let the sow discontent between people who've known each other their whole lives? Okay, you can cut it off. Okay, so y'all, that's the past. That's what we've been through. The reason we showed that is because we wanted everybody to understand why we took the steps that we took. Bladen County, Bladen Blooming never wanted to create any harm for the citizens of Elizabethtown. we were taking the steps that we thought were necessary to protect the citizens of Bladen County, the citizens of Elizabethtown, even the Elizabethtown elected officials. And we're thankful we took the steps we did, because especially when the lines of communication finally opened up and we started meeting, we found out they weren't aware of most of these things. It's not my place to get into a lot of detail, but I can tell you that since the lines of communication opened up, and I give a heck of a lot of credit to Bobby Kinlaw that took Hal's place in being a bullheaded person in creating the conversation. But since the conversation has started, the town has learned a lot of stuff that they didn't know for the last year and a half. And I think over the next week or two, we're hopefully going to find out that the town and county are working to rectify some of these things, and that we're going to get back to doing these projects. The 33-acre live work play was a really good project. We still want to do it. There's some cool commercial projects going out there. We need some housing started so that Cape Fear Valley can open up. We can have medical specialists here in the county that we've never had before. It's very, very often that I sit back and think the conversations that Mr. Ben Green and I had about what this could one day be, how excited I would be for him to see what it really could be 5 to 10 years from now. So there's no reason that what has happened in the past should inhibit people that have known each other, some of them for 50, 60, 70 years or more, can't now get together and work and get this back on track. You know, I do hate that we lost a year or two, but I don't know. Sometimes when you argue, you can come out with a stronger relationship than you ever had before. And hopefully this is one of those cases. I know the county is ready to invest in it. We're hearing very positive things from the town about them trying to position themselves to move forward with the project. And with that, I'll turn it over to Charles Bray.
Thank you, Joe. At this time, I don't have any questions. Anybody got any questions, but please keep it respectful, please. Anyone have any questions?
The board members complain.
If you're a board member for Bladen's Blooming, raise your hand. So also Robert Hester, Reynolds, Al Beatty,
Pistol McLean.
And Garrett.
And Garrett, John Shaw, Don White, Nick Carter. 14 members. Good folks that don't get paid anything, and I work them to death.
I'm being very vocal for those comments made in the newspaper that nobody has shown any concerns. I sent numerous emails to the county administration, and I've been told because there were questions I couldn't get answered. I've been very vocal about, from the meetings I've been to, it appears to me, my opinion only, that we're becoming a military team. I totally support military. My grandson coming home from Belgium in about 3 weeks. All my family members. We're not a military team. Elizabethtown Airport is a small municipal airport. The county has invested how many hundreds of thousands of dollars? I think it's around $400,000 when the operating was landing down there and damaged the runway. $400,000. Is this a question? Well,
He's talking about it.
it's a comment, and yes, it's a question, because I want to know how many military contracts are going to be approved. Ken Hathaway sat there at the last several meetings and made a statement that there were more military contracts on the way. They might have stood outside the municipal hall and said, I told him that the airplane flying over my house when Charlie Stulo is stated in the minutes of the town forward
Okay.
that he acknowledged. So I want to know, are we becoming a military airport or not?
We'll get back to you. We can't respond to that tonight. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to know the project. With this project, you say you're trying to go back to original project, including the non-profit, organizations and, the medical bills and the low-income housing.
That will be determined shortly. Can't answer that tonight. We'll write it down now. Anyone else? Answer these questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I tried to read it. I'm not the best at writing, but it was an arduous read and legalese. I couldn't make heads or tails of it myself. So I want to thank you as a citizen for making it simple for me to understand. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Question, I think a lot of the, possibly the animosity towards the whole, from people I've talked to, in my opinion, the animosity towards the whole project is that we don't have, and I'd like to include it in the project industrial park. If you've ever gone to the grocery store during the summer months, I mean, we don't have the necessities that we need, whether it's in our Walmart, I go in there every day, you can't find anything you need, your groceries are outrageously priced. Is there any concessions made for that aspect? So I feel like the county's losing money, everybody's going outside of the county to shop. We don't have what we need here. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree to that.
So we'll have to get back to you on that one, I'm sorry. Anyone else?
I got one on the project started back, years back. Money that was allocated for this particular project, that money still available to allocate to these projects.
Are you talking about $15 million?
$15 million.
It's still in place. It's still $15 million. Anyone else?
Is there any material available that we can get a copy of the project, whatever?
We'll get you the information. If you answer a question, Miss Marie gets your phone number and contact information. So I would like to thank my board of commissioners, would like to speak with them because I'm the chairman. It's been 18 months of hell. I'm telling you. I hate to even say it like that, but it has. I've lost sleep. My commissioners have lost sleep. It is nothing that we wanted to do. We felt like we had to do it to protect the citizens of Bladen County. And we can show you on the screen, we can give you handouts. We can show you why we did what we did. And it was for the betterment of Bladen County. And that's the reason we did it. It's been easy, though. It really just breaks your heart to even think about the situation that we've been in the last 16, 18 months. But I do hope that we're on the way out of it. I really do. Because you, as Bladen County citizens, you deserve better than you've been getting from Bladen County in the last 16 months.
Stands now, will it ever be developed?
We'll have to get back with you. So at this time, I want to thank you for coming.
You got one more point over there?
You had the opportunity.
I just wanted a clarification with the Vulcan Air plant, the manufacturing facility that was supposed to be, is there any update as to when they're actually thinks they're gonna do anything? Or is it still in the ether?
We'll have to get back with you on that. We'll get on that answer. I'm sorry we don't have no answers, but we're not gonna say anything, tell you something we don't know. That's the reason we're here today. I'm gonna cut it off now. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for making up this case. I got a question. My question is, what's the next step?
the right direction.
So the next step is, there's three people, three county commissioners, myself, Cameron Hill, and Ray Britt, are meeting with Ms. Paula Green, Rick Glenn, and Bobby Kinlaw. And two people, Chuck Eustace and Dan Allen from Bladen, and we've been meeting and we're making some progress. So at this time, I thank you for coming, be safe going home, and God bless Bladen County.
Amen.